Hi. I need your opinion on something.
You have your inner being's opinion, and we're in on that. So we'll play with you about this, but we just want to ask you a question. This subject that we're about to talk about, what kind of emotion do you usually feel around it? Because if it's a little negative, then that means our opinion's different than yours. So a good way to know what our opinion is to figure out what yours is, and then just know ours is the opposite. So I'm really worried about something. Well, we're not. I really don't think this is going to work. Well, we think it's going to work. You see what we're getting at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, it's really just confirmation, I guess, that I'm looking for. So I have a tendency, which I realize it's not so good for me, to make scenarios.
Well, stop it.
About what I want.
That's good.
Yeah, it's about what I want, and I'm planning many scenarios, but usually it doesn't happen when I do this. So usually the things I want will happen.
When you are thinking about it, this is important to understand. Step 1, which is asking, and step 3, which is allowing, are 2 different steps. That's sort of easy to understand. So since you've already asked, now your work is about allowing. And sometimes writing those scenarios just causes you to put yourself more firmly, more often in the receiving mode. In other words, sometimes people think that they should write about what they want in detail so that the universe will know exactly what they want. Well, the universe already knows exactly what they want. But when you write about it, it's like you talk yourself into it. It's like when you write about it, you come to believe it more and more and more. The only question that matters is, how do you feel while you're writing? Esther has been using the word, she'll say to herself, I think I'm going to go sit and just happily contemplate. So she'll just sit and think about things that make her feel happy. And every time she does it, something else that she's working on becomes part of the mental conversation, and it's happy too. So how do you feel when you're writing, when you're scripting?
Yeah, it's usually in my head, just mental scenarios.
Yes.
But
you might try writing, because you'll be able to hold your focus better if you write it. If you're just in your head, then you can flip around without even realizing that you are. But if you'll write it, you'll have a better point of focus, and you'll be able to feel your emotions in a stronger way to know what they are indicating. Because if you've been doing something for a while and you're not getting results, then it isn't working. And the reason that it isn't working every single time, it's always the same reason. You're throwing resistance on your own trail and probably don't even know you're doing it. And the reason that you're not knowing you're doing it is because you have become accustomed to negative emotion. Esther realized the other day, she said something to her daughter Tracy. Tracy was asking something of her, and Esther was explaining why she hadn't done it yet. So she was explaining how busy she was, and Tracy just put laughing out loud back at Esther in the text. And Esther knew exactly what she was talking about, because they've had this conversation on many occasions. As you beat the drum of how busy you are, you become less and less and less effective, because what you're saying is, I'm so busy, things are not working out. I've got too much to do. It's a time shortageness that won't allow any inspired breakthroughs, you see. So you want to talk about the specifics of this?
Let's say money, for instance. If I'm trying to figure out how it's going to come, or making some...
But you see, that's not your job. Your job isn't to figure out how it's going to come. Your job is to figure out how it feels as it's here. Get really general. What does it feel like to have freedom of dollars? What does it feel like to have that prosperity flowing into your experience? What would that feel like? What would or what does that feel like? And then get really general. It feels like ease. It feels like ease. Ease. Think about ease. Just say ease. Ease. It feels like ease. Feels like ease. No struggle. Ease. No struggle. Ease. 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 Feels like fun. Fun. It feels like freedom and fun and ease. Freedom and fun and ease and freedom and fun and ease. It feels easy, and it feels fun, and it feels free, and it feels full. It feels full and easy and free. Esther used to say to Jerry, let's go get a Coke and pretend like we're on vacation. That feeling of on vacation. It feels like waking up and having nothing that you need to do, just that feeling of ease. All my choices, that feeling of freedom and ease and fun. So stay there for a little while until you're actually feeling that. And We're not talking about where it's going to come from or who's going to bring it and when it's going to come and how it's going to get here and how much it's going to be. We're talking about what it feels like to be prosperous, what it feels like to have no attachments to anything that is holding you back. And so it doesn't take very long for you to talk yourself into that feeling. And as you talk yourself into that feeling, now, boom, you're in the receptive mode. Didn't even take that long. Didn't take any time at all. You didn't have to go get a job. You didn't have to make somebody pay something that they owed you. Somebody didn't have to die and leave you a big inheritance. Nothing had to happen for you to accomplish that feeling, that feeling, that feeling, that feeling. And now you're in that feeling place. Now you're in synced up. You're in the receptive mode. So now a thought occurs to you. I think I'll go over here. I think I'll do this. I think I'll call this person. Now you are inspired to action where you hook up. This is how the thoughts turn to things, you see. But if you don't take the time to hook up, you won't receive the impulses. And if you're acting out of impulses that are other than being hooked up, then they're all those things that you've already been trying. Action will bring you a certain amount of leverage. In other words, it's obvious that you can use your mind and use your body and move things from place to place. But there is so much leverage in alignment first and following inspired action. So let's talk further, because this is good. Everyone is benefiting from this, because there are 3 other people in this room that want money too. So let's talk about what's going through your mind. Give us some of the scenario. Don't try to make it different than it's been. Just give it to us as you've been doing it, although now it will be somewhat different because of the conversation that we've had. And now you are more in the receptive mode. So just ramble about your desire.
Like I'm starting a business right now.
All right, that's way too specific. That's talking about how and where and...
Okay, so it's freedom I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I want to feel freedom. I want to be able to travel and ease and have fun.
All right, joy. So feel softly how when you say, I want to be able to, that's like saying, I want to do something I'm not now able to. It's subtle. What you're wanting to do is kind of smooth the lack feeling out of this conversation that you're having with yourself. Now, you jumped right into the idea of a business, and we sort of asked you to back away from that. But is this business fun?
Mostly, yeah.
All right, so you didn't even go there. In other words, you went to the part that isn't fun because you're so determined to be honest about how things are. And honesty will get you nowhere. Because the most honest thing that you can say is, I don't have it yet. And as long as that's what you're saying. And so, are there aspects that are fun? Is this business calling you? Has it been calling you?
That's where I'm confused and I'm not sure.
Well, if you're not sure, then it isn't. So you don't have to talk about that because that's not really calling you, but something like it is. So why does a business call you? Do you want to be self-employed? Does that call you?
Yes.
Why does self-employment call you?
Same reason, freedom, traveling.
All right, so let's get that in a really positive viewpoint. I really like working for myself because I really like making the decisions. I like the freedom of getting to choose. I like the freedom of being in control of the momentum of things. I like the fun of the ideas exploding in my own mind. I like the fullness of what's coming. I like the mastery of the laws of the universe. I like seeing the universe respond to my ideas. I like knowing what a powerful creator I am. I like the freedom of being able to get clear on my own mind and then watching the universe respond. I like the freedom of not having to integrate with somebody else's ideas or demands or rules right away. I like the freedom of getting to do all of that myself. Feel how that feels? Mm-hmm. So in this conversation, now we got more specific, but we didn't jeopardize or give up the feeling of freedom. The ideas are just coming in a stronger, clearer way. And so what happens is sometimes a brief conversation is as far as you can go. And then the next time a brief conversation is as far as you can go and still feel good. And then the next time a brief conversation is as far as you go and still feel good. But now a new idea comes and a new idea comes. Sometimes you say things like you're getting your juices flowing. Well, your juices are already flowing. What you're doing is setting aside the resistance that's keeping you from feeling what's flowing, you see. Mm-hmm. So now how do you feel, just how do you feel generally about the idea of self-employment? Does it feel more lighthearted to you than it did when you first sat down?
Yeah.
Because you see, what you wanted when you first sat down, you wanted to give us a scenario of what you want, and you wanted us to listen to it, and then you wanted us to say, yes, this will work for you. And the reason that you wanted that, and it's all right, is because almost everybody wants a condition that they can have a positive reaction to. It's what our friend was talking about at the very beginning of the conversation, the reaction to things. It's easier to have something positive to react to. So if we said to you, oh, it's a sure thing, you're really on the right track, and yes, it's going to go, and funding's going to come, and it's going to come from everywhere, you'd feel happy for a minute, but you'd need us continually pumping that up. And that's a conditional approach that will not serve you well. We want you to find an unconditional approach. We want you to find that unconditional emotional approach, because you found that feeling of freedom without any conditions changing. No condition changed. You found that feeling of freedom, didn't you?
Yeah.
And so that's that unconditional finding of the feeling of freedom. Now, did it move for any of the rest of you? Can't you feel this vortex that is full of everything that you want? And are you understanding that your work is just to get yourself in the mental, vibrational, emotional proximity of that, which means you just want to talk carefully to yourself and focus carefully so that you allow yourself to flow as freely as can happen in this moment. So you accomplished really a lot. Doesn't seem like it, because you didn't place any ads, and you didn't get any funding, and you didn't take any action, and you haven't met anybody quite yet. You haven't nailed the building together, and you haven't brought the components of it in yet. So in a true action way, you can't see or taste it or smell it, but you can feel it emotionally. It moved, it moved, it moved, it moved. You started to listen to the calling. So if you keep doing that, someone says to you, well, how you doing? Great. Well, what's going on? All good things. Like what? I think I'm just going to keep this to myself for just a little while. Just keeping it to myself just for a little while. It's incubating. It's in the process of becoming. And others, they'll be worried about it because they want to see the tangible. But if you need to see the tangible before you have accomplished the intangible, it's not ever going to come. You got to find the feeling of it, and it's not that hard to do. And then the ideas start flowing. Then all of a sudden an idea will come, and it will be so powerful that you can't deny it. An idea that wakes you up in the middle of the night, that you want to write it in your notebook and you want to process it more, and then more details come and more details come. And if we could make you understand, if we could convince you that that is the creative process, and that the manifestation point, the manifestation starts coming far, far, far later, but when it comes quickly. That's why there's all these overnight successes. Well, they weren't overnight successes. They had things going on. Every one of them took far longer than they needed to, because they were facing reality more than was good for them. Helpful?
Yeah, I had an idea like this. When I woke up, I had this idea, and I started the process, and then I got scared and I stopped.
All right, well, when that fear comes, that means that it's moving faster than you're ready for. And so that's a good thing to stop. But then just say to yourself, oh, that idea was good, and I liked how it felt at first, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. And just try to stop it before the fear came. In other words, remember what the idea was. People who are in sales understand. Most of them have been taught by those who have been taught, by those who have been taught, that if you ask someone to make a decision about something before they have enough information, they're always going to say no. Mm-hmm. They're just always going to say no. And you're the same way. If you ask yourself to believe something before you have enough information, you're going to shut it down vibrationally. You're not going to let it happen, because your logic tells you that you need more. Well, we're here to tell you that you don't need to know how or when or who or where. You don't need to know that. And in fact, a need to know that will keep the juices from flowing. So if you can just say, I want to talk about what I want and why I want it. Just hold yourself in what I want and why I want it. I want it because it feels good. I want it because it feels free. I want it because I deserve it. I want it because I'm worthy. I want it because things are always working out for me. I want it because it would be way fun. I want it because. Why do I want it? But not how, where, when, who. And so then your vibration will just get stronger. Your receptive mode will get stronger. Ideas will start occurring to you, and you'll be on fire with them. And that's what leadership is. Leadership, which is what ownership of a business needs to be. Leadership is being on fire with ideas. So much leverage that everyone wants to join the momentum of that, you see. And so if you were to gather a whole bunch of people together to start a business before you're on fire like that, they'll want to lead you this way and this way and this way and this way. The confusion will run rampant. It won't feel good to anyone. Leadership has to be at the beginning of everything. And you and the source within you are the leadership of everything that you want. Whether you are working inside of something else or whether you are an entrepreneur working in your own business. It's just you and you coming into alignment. You and you. You and you. And with you and you. The power, the energy that creates worlds. flowing to you and through you toward whatever you want.